Welcome to Show and Tell Saturdays on Tea Time with Afternoon Social. Join me as we hear from my guest for the week as she tells us about her business, products, services, podcasts, and other fun stuff. Grab your favorite cup of tea. It's party time.
Social. I'm Teresa Lauterbeck, your host, and we are welcoming Saloni Surah again today. She she's joining us from England. She holds a doctorate in HIV and drug use. She's also an HIV and Sexual Health consultant. And Saloni is also a published author, and we got to see a little bit about her book, Fiona Investigates the Case of the Missing Gold Eggs, yesterday. So we'll definitely have to go back and check that out. And additionally, she has an active interest in meditation, self-development, and other healing modalities. And she works as a spiritual coach. So today, here on Show and Tell Saturdays, she's going to step into her land of imagination and share a little bit more about her books and the ones that are upcoming, and explain to us some about her coaching services and some of the things that she can offer you in her business. So, hi, Saloni, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Great. So, we heard a little bit about your books yesterday, but what else about those books would you like to share, and then kind of explain to us some of your coaching services and some of the other things you offer?
Absolutely. So I will talk a little bit more about them both, but I suppose what I want to say is my books are imbued with magic and with my energy, and there's a kind of power and magic and energy to them. So, like I say, there's amazing, fantastic stories, but there's also this energy, certainly with Flora, of, you can go for your dreams. It is possible. At the moment, I'm writing, my second book, The Last Fairy Guardian, which is a middle grade book, so it's for older children, 8 to 12, is in the middle of editing and illustrating, and that is hopefully due out kind of February of next year. And, that's a book about a forbidden friendship between a fairy and a human girl when the forest is at threat and wings are at risk. And I touched on it yesterday, but it's a book about having wings clipped and how we all get grounded at some point in our lives, whether we realize it or not, and often by people who love us. Sometimes they're saying they're doing it for our good, but how, it's a terrible thing, and how we respond to that. And also the things we're told about other people. So with this forbidden friendship, that Flower Fairy is told that humans are bad and they're destroying the planet. And then, the girl's just lost her mum. And, all these perceptions that we get of other people. But it's also, it's magical. There's potions and forests and animals. But it's also a book about, bullying and being disempowered, power bounces, and getting that power back, and, getting the voice back, and the power of forgiveness when we can let it go. And I think for me, it's a really lush book about outdoor. It's really outdoorsy, it's foresty and outdoorsy and mossy, and how beautiful it is to be out in the forest, and how lucky we are to have that. So it's a deep theme. I don't have anything to show about that. I'm just about to pick up my mermaid, so I'm going higher again. I've got some kids' books, some adult books, and that is a young adult book about mermaids washing up dead, half transformed. So that's a bit more gruesome and gory. It's also a mystery/detective book, a bit like Flora. So that's my plan for the kind of immediate future. Flora, I did show you yesterday, but let me try and show you some pictures. It's a really funny, happy book for 5 to 10-year-olds, more so for the 7 to 10 age group, because it's a chapter book. But it's a fun book. It's a girl who wants to be a detective, and she makes it happen. She's like, I'm going to do this. She makes it happen. She faces her fears, and she does it. And she flies on a boat. And she finds the gold egg, and she meets a pirate who dances and has teeth full of cheese, and a scary older hunter, and a neighbour who's got a lot of cats. And she finds out what's happened to Gina and her eggs and who stole her. So it's a really fun book with lovely characters, and she also has notes in there. So, if you believe in magic, if you like fun characters, if you want to go on an adventure, and it's set in Italy, so there's some nice food in there, then give her a look, because she's a lot of fun. So those are my books. Like I say, they're inspiring, funny stories, but they have a deep theme, because that's important for me, having worked as a doctor for so long, that it's about inspiring children, that there's a theme. And I want them to believe that even if dark things happen, that you can overcome it. It's not the end. You can get your power back. You can get your wings back. All is not lost, and you can forgive and move on. Anything really is possible.
And that's a great age group. That 7 to 10 is a perfect time for girls to start really discovering themselves and knowing that they can work towards things and not just sit back and do nothing and play.
I mean, absolutely. So, I wanted a healthy role model, a healthy female role model for girls as well as boys, not just for boys, not a woman that's all made up the whole time, not a woman that's on the go the whole time. She's bookish. She's a bit quiet. She likes to solve puzzles. She likes to read, right. I want those healthy role models. I have children. I want my son and my daughter to see healthy role models of men and women. I think that's really important. So, that was a deliberate thing on my part. She is based on somebody, but it was deliberate to, I wanted somebody bookish. So those are my books. I have some adult books as well. It's probably going to take me a bit of time to get there. I have a little farting elf book that I need to write for my boy, with farting competitions, and then there'll be a sequel for both Flora and my fairies. So and my first book that started it all off was a book about dragons and dream school, which I had let go, but lately I've been feeling the dragons coming back. So that one will come back, and it will actually be a beautiful addition to Flora, because it will be about dreams and creating your dreams in there. So that's my books. I could talk for the whole time on that, but I'll touch on the coaching, and then you can ask me whatever you want. So I've always had an interest in alternative, and when I was working as a doctor, I would do some meditation tapping with patients, and I remember having a patient come in who was in a panic attack, and the nurse came in and said, he's in a bad way. He came in, we just tapped on the collarbone and breathed. Within 5 minutes he was talking and back. So I've always had that interest, and I've always enjoyed yoga and that kind of stuff, and I've done a lot of training over my time. So after doing my PhD, I signed up for a tapping program for a year with Margaret Lynch, and part of that was to train tapping at 12. So I thought, well, it's included, why not do it? Up until that point, I was like, they'd all be like, you should coach, and I was like, I don't know, what. So I started doing that, and that was the foray into it, really. I've done Reiki, Sei Kim, card reading courses, crystal healing courses. I'm also a doctor, so I've pretty much heard everything. I worked for a while as sexual assault examiner, rape examiner. I've seen a lot of people have been sexually abused. I've done sex worker clinics. So I've pretty much heard it all. I would used to have patients come in to me when I did an evening clinic in the community. They'd come in from the other clinic going, oh, yeah, I wanted to talk to you. So it varies with what I do. It's very individualized. It's very intuitive. I'm very intuitive and empathic, and at times quite psychic. So, I used to have patients coming in and I'd be like, oh, this one's been sexually assaulted, or, you'd have, it's like a sixth sense, isn't it? You'd have a feeling of, I need to order this scan or that scan. So it's very individualized. It's one-to-one. I can work Zoom, phone, in person. I've worked with people from all over. It's usually a small number. I don't tend to do large numbers because of the energetics of it for me, and I have young children. Actually, I'm in the middle of redoing my website, so it'll go on the author website, because I haven't had that much time to do it since my youngest was born. So, it can be wealth. I've done money, I've done health, I've done love, I've done The last time I was doing it, which was about 2 years ago, I did an entire family, which was actually such a pleasure. I did the kids and the parents, and what's wonderful is they're doing well, and they don't need me, and I love that. I love to see how my clients evolve and transform, and that they don't need me. So I'm very good at seeing things clearly. And I see things sometimes in a different way to others. I'm very good at seeing patterns. And I'm very good at if you want change and transformation. Those are my fortes. But, it really depends on what's coming up for you and where we need to go. And I'm flexible and adaptable. That's the thing about me. I like, I've always done a few different things. The doctor, writing, painting, and when I was working as a doctor, I did a lot of different jobs. I like meeting people and chatting to people, and I like to see changes for them. I love it when people's lives change and they start getting movement, and it's really beautiful. It's a real pleasure for me. The same as being a doctor is.
That's great, because you can. It's like climbing a ladder. You start with one place and keep moving into different things as you discover more and more about yourself and what brings you joy.
Absolutely. I mean, I will, so I will go there. I'm somebody who's seen stuff, so I will, I will go there. Sometimes the coaching work means facing things you don't want to face, or challenging conversations. And I have had individuals that have been raped who've never told anybody about it, and they've come, it's come up, and it's important to deal with these things and voice them, because otherwise they're held in the body and they pass down families. That shame, that guilt, we feel it, we sense it, but it's a safe space. I've like you said, I've seen and heard a lot. I've had, people telling me about being sexually abused and how they dealt with it afterwards. I've people telling me about how they've murdered people. Like I say, I'm pretty unshockable. So the coaching work is intuitive. It flows. It can involve tapping. It can involve energy work. It can involve dowsing work, and it is evolving. But it's highly individualized, and it's whether it's about having the right person and the right fit.
Right. If you don't have that connection with them, it's hard to inspire them to do what they need to be doing, because if they're not connected with you, they're not really listening all that well.
Yes.
And they're not putting in 100% of the work, because they're not believing in what you're telling them.
Absolutely. For some people, it is just talking. They just want to talk. For some people, it's dealing with the past. For some people, it's really just, I've done business coaching for men, and it is just, getting them to transition. I've also, like I say, I'm a doctor. I've set up services. I've managed staff. So some of that is just talking through things with people and giving them a plan of how they're going to deal with some of these tricky situations and business situations sometimes as well.
Right. I know I've had health issues, and I've had to take a hiatus from everything for 1.5 years, but it's actually been kind of good to start over, like you said, and transition and find new ways of doing things and changing. And that's one thing I think people fear, is that change.
Absolutely. It's scary, isn't it? You're used to doing things one way. We can be very rigid, and obviously depending on our parents and how flexible and adaptable they are, really often determines how we are, because we mirror their behavior. So it can be challenging. I think it gets easier the more that you do it, and I think it's also easier if you have somebody supporting you, and really that's what the coaching is supporting somebody, especially if they're in the midst of change. Or if they're wanting to bring in that change, and holding that space for them.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave with our audience today?
No, I just, I hope you're all having a wonderful day, weekend, and, have a wonderful day and weekend, and sending you all lots of love. It's been a real pleasure to be connecting with you all the last few days, and I feel very honoured and blessed to be able to do that.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've had a great time with our conversations and likes to go back and check out the other episodes. A lot of great information, and I'll have all of Saloni's contact information in the comments so that you can reach out to her about anything about her services or her books or even her artwork and whatever you'd like to connect with her with. So thank you again for joining us, and I hope we can connect again later some other time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye-bye. And
Bye.